Lots to get to today. Lots to get to today. We're going to have another moment in white history, although today will actually be moments in white history. As I mentioned, today is Monday, January the 6th. And 4 years ago today, the white supremacists and Christian nationalists and MAGA all day, every day, they had descended or were beginning their descent anyway. I remember being live on air and knowing that this was going to happen. And we knew it was going to happen because for weeks we had on these airways been talking about the fact, well, listen, the people who watch the insurrection chat rooms are saying it's going to be crazy. Donald Trump put out that tweet that said it's going to be wild. Come on down to D.C. And boy, did they descend. I remember getting off air and then watching as it all unfolded, the march from the location where the speech was held down towards where the Capitol was, the overwhelming feeling of just surreal. It didn't even make sense, and then yet it did, because we all knew that as we watched, that had anything like that been attempted by people who did not have the complexion for the protection, it would have been a bloodbath on those lawns of the Capitol building. And so we're going to talk about that today, but we're actually going to do it through the eyes of another moment in white history. You all may recall that the film Rosewood, which captured another element of mobbery. We got to find a word for what it means to be an active part of a racist mob. I'm sure there's some folks who've already put some thought to this, but we know the film Rosewood, which depicted what happened when the ancestors of many of those folks who took the Capitol on January the 6th, we are reminded by the film Rosewood, phenomenal film, about another moment in history where violence and insurrection type behavior was also on display. And so we're going to look at and we're going to examine what happened on January 6, 2021, through the eyes or through the prism of what happened on January 5th, 1923, when over 200 white men attacked the black community in Rosewood, Florida. So we're going to have a bit of a Sankofa today. Y'all know we do history on this show, not because we like to get stuck in the past, but because we Sankofa here. And by Sankofa, what we mean is we use that West African principle of the Adinkra symbol system that essentially says we have to look to the past in order to understand where we are today and to prepare for where we are going as a nation. So we're going to do a bit of that today. Lots of additional stories to get to. It appears that Justin Trudeau, Canadian Prime Minister, is set to step down this Wednesday, apparently heading to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. Came with the kiss of political death, although he had been facing some difficulties for quite some time. But he does appear to be stepping down as his party's leader. That will be interesting to watch. There are all over the globe, we are seeing disruption and incumbents, and we were seeing patterns all across the globe. I'm watching carefully what's happening in Germany as the party that is most affiliated with Nazi fascism is surging. Now, they are currently in second place. They have elections in February, but what could possibly go wrong? The Germans haven't. I almost started speaking in German. Germans have ein anderer return to Nazism. God help us, mein Gott. Ich hatte zu viel. Oh, my Lord. Let me not even start. All right. But lots happening there. Also, I was disturbed to read over the weekend an article that I'm like, did y'all not ever watch Terminator? Y'all don't watch the movies y'all make. Apparently, European scientists are working on creating organic life. Yeah, it's true. It's not sci-fi. They're working on creating life that will be able to have Darwinian evolutionary effects. What could possibly go wrong? Y'all don't watch the shows I watch. I feel like y'all should have watched the movie. All the movies where y'all go to creating stuff you ain't got no business creating. That's a problem. That one of the scientists in the article, which we'll talk about in just a bit, they were like, yeah, we don't think this is a good idea. This is problematic. But one of them said, this effort is driven by the perennial desire to understand how life originated on Earth and whether it could have originated elsewhere in the observable universe. And I'm like, now that makes sense. You want to find out, like, how life evolves and whatnot. And I get that. I understand it. But they talk in the article about how trying to create artificial life has been like a long-standing goal of science. And I'm like, some science, maybe. some science, but not all science. And there's some science that has a respect for life and has a spiritual appreciation for what life is and the limitations of humanity and things we should not dabble in. One of them said that de novo creation of living systems is a long-standing dream of humanity. I'm like, yeah, okay, some humanity. Not all. It's not all. That's not universal. So when the aliens come or when whatever they about to create takes over, we just need to be clear. Wasn't all of us trying to do this. All right. It was just them folks in Europe. All right. But in addition to that, I read that article at the same time that I began reading about this controversy over Black artificial intelligence generated images and accounts that Meta was featuring. Really weird, funky sci-fi stuff as all the tech bros line up to give donations either from their organizations or their own personal pockets of $1 million or more to the Trump inauguration. Interesting. I am concerned because they ended up shutting down this particular program. We're going to talk a little bit about that this week as well. I hope to get to it today. But we also have the amazing folks from Hood Medicine who are going to be joining us today. And we have some important things to talk about as we speed our way towards this inauguration, whatever it's going to look like. But there's increasing concern around race biology and eugenics. And these are concepts that are being stoked by elongated muskrat and 47. And so I'm also concerned about this because of another story that came out about a white nurse. Her race matters for reasons I will explain in just a moment. A white nurse who has been fired and is now facing criminal prosecution because of her allegedly willful violence and abuse that was committed against babies in the NICU, all of whom, according to the reports thus far, were Black. We got a lot to unpack. Ain't even got to inauguration yet. We got a lot to get to today.